welcome delegates to the last short course in this first semester. We apologize that our numbers, although we had over 100 delegates register for this short course, but it appears that there's many meetings happening, and perhaps there's also room 26 that is occupied where we usually have our meetings. So it could have been misinterpreted that we are not there. So let's start. We still have a good core group and we have good representation, and it looks like we have almost all continents as well. So today we will look very closely at the Technology and Innovation Report for 2025, which focuses on artificial intelligence for development. Before we start and before we introduce our experts who actually worked on this report and produced it, working around the clock for many, many months for such a solid and good report. We'll go to the head of the program and the head of the branch, who also made this report possible with his support and constant reviews and so on, and also the acting director of the Division on Technology and Logistics. Over to Mr. Angel Gonzalez.
Thank you very much, Randa, and good morning to everyone, and thanks for coming to this short course. As Randa said, we were expecting a much larger number of participants, but at least we have the advantage that with a reduced group, we can have a very in-depth discussion, and I think this report does provide substance for a very rich and interesting discussion. Before going into the report, I would like to say a few words about the next few months' activities of the P166 course. On the good side, the positive news, I can inform you that for the next semester, we will increase the number of short courses for Geneva-based delegates. We are in discussions with our colleagues in the substantive divisions of ANTA to explore themes that could be of interest for you delegates in the work program of ANTA to look at in depth in more courses. Also considering that you have ahead of you a very intense period of negotiations to define the future of the organization, and we expect that more in-depth understanding of some of the policy analysis that is done in the House can help you also navigate more effectively those negotiations. So we will have a richer program of P166 events here in Geneva. On the not so positive side, I have to inform you that because of the liquidity crisis that, as you are aware, the UN is facing, we cannot be sure that we will be able to deliver the 2 regional courses that we would normally deliver in the remaining months of this year. We are still working very hard with our leadership and also with the financial controller in New York to explore all possibilities to ensure the resources that would enable us to organize the regional courses. But we cannot make any promises. We will keep you informed about developments so that you can also reach out to your capitals and, if possible, mobilize policymakers that should attend these regional courses, which, as you know, have been highly successful and help many countries equip their capital-based teams to deal with international negotiations on the many issues under the purview of ANTA. We will also have the P166 advisory board meeting in the second half of the year. And we expect that at that point we will also receive further guidance from you, from member states, in terms of the future direction in which the program should go, taking into account the constraints that are imposed on the UN, on us as UNCTAD, but more generally in the whole system, because of the very difficult period that we're going through in terms of the finance available. Now a word about this report. As Randa said, this report is the output of the work of the two colleagues that are present here, to whom I must pay tribute for their very strong work, but also for their creativity and for the depth of the thinking that went into producing this document. We also work with a large number of external resources from the academic world in particular, but also from think tanks and actors from the civil society. So the report draws on a significantly rich variety of sources. Of course, I will not preempt the presentation that is going to follow in a few minutes, but I would like to highlight a couple of ideas that come from the report. The first one is that it is necessary that developing countries take proactive action to not just react to the fast development of artificial intelligence, but also to steer the evolution of this technology in a way that is consistent with and supportive of the development strategies of your countries. It is clear that very few aspects of society or the economy are going to be left unaffected by artificial intelligence. But if we don't act proactively, it is very possible that the result will be negative in important dimensions, and particularly in terms of inequality, both among countries and within countries. Technological change is not neutral. Technological change responds to policy measures and also to the environment in which those policy measures operate. And it is in the hands of governments and civil society acting in collaboration with governments and the business sector, of course, to create the conditions to make that evolution positive. The second idea that we would like to, I mean, there are many more, but the second one that I would like to highlight is that the report makes a number of concrete, specific recommendations for an increased participation of developing countries in the development of artificial intelligence and in the establishment of the governance framework that is needed for artificial intelligence contributing to the kind of outcomes that I was referring to about in terms of equality and in terms of inclusiveness. Those proposals have to do with infrastructure. They have to do with data governance, in which UNCTAD is now closely involved, but more generally have to do with an approach to technology, including frontier technologies, that is based on open approaches to innovation that allow for more meaningful participation of all countries and all actors in the development of technology. I think this is consistent with messages that UNCTAD has been projecting for years about how technology policy should be shaped. But I think the fast and deep change that is brought to the forefront by the development of artificial technologies, artificial intelligence, make these open approaches and this inclusive approach even more urgent. With this, I stop and I give back the floor to Randa to introduce our presenters today. Randa.
Thank you so much, Angel, for giving this review on the program and what we're doing next, and also on this very important flagship report that UNCTAD produces on annual basis. So to introduce our experts who will take us through session 1 and session 2, I'll start with Mr. Waikit Jackie Situ, who's sitting on to my right. He's an Economic Affairs Officer in the Technology and Innovation Policy Research section in the Division of Technology and Logistics in UNCTAD. He has extensive experience in science, technology, and innovation, policy research, and has also contributed to numerous UN reports on science, technology, and innovation for sustainable development. Before joining UNCTAD, he worked with 3 different UN regional commissions in Africa, Asia, and Europe, all represented here today amongst you. And to my left, I introduce Mr. Antonio Vezani, who's also an Economic Affairs Officer in the Technology and Innovation Policy Research section in the same division in UNCTAD. Before coming to UNCTAD, Antonio was an associate professor at the Rennes School of Business. He also worked for several years at the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. Antonio has contributed to several reports and academic articles and technological change, innovation processes, industrial dynamics, and science, technology, and innovation policies. Thank you so much, both Jackie and Antonio, for being with us for today's short course. I also got some news from some delegates. It's actually, there is no confusion, but apparently there's another pre-com prep meeting that is going on in the same time. So a number of your colleagues, delegates, will be coming right after they finish. So apologies for this, but I guess it's inevitable to schedule things that fall at the same time. Okay, back to our sessions. As you will see in the program, we'll have 2 sessions. The first will introduce the report, and we'll go into frontier technologies, and we'll also look at concrete policy recommendations. And the second one, we're going to look more on implications for AI in the workplace, and also successful cases of where AI was adopted. We're also going to look at what needs to be done on a regional level. We're also going to look at the national context. We're going to look at institutional thinking in a way where ministries need to also coordinate. We're also going to look at issues of infrastructure and what needs to happen to give this push forward for AI for development without having to have these enormous losses for the workforce, especially in developing countries and LDCs. So let's start with Antonio. Over to you, Antonio.